Y'all, we've got a new lawsuit in Utah against the famous duo Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, and they might be catching some brand new charges, some federal charges. We're going to talk about it in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's back there. I'm right here. My name is Paul if you're new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, my name still is Paul. What we're going to be doing today is revisiting that case against Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, but not the case that they're currently serving time in prison for, but potentially a new case. A new lawsuit, like I said, has dropped in Utah. Now, if you go back and remember to this case, if you followed it, Ruby Franke was the mother, whatever, the owner, whatever you want to call it, the star of 8 Passengers, a YouTube channel that focused on her husband Kevin, and their children, their 6 children. Sherry Franke just wrote a book exposing what the horrible life conditions were growing up with Ruby. Now, Ruby would eventually meet Jodi Hildebrandt. Jodi Hildebrandt ran a thing called Connections. This was like a life coaching, things of this nature. Now, Jodi and Ruby would team up. They would do horrible things to children and other people. They're now serving time in prison for that. So Connections basically was this thing of, in my opinion, that Jodi used to victimize people and their families, and especially the husbands and the children, to sequester the wives away. And it looks like yet another case has come forth with this. So what I want to do is just go over some highlights and whatnot of it. There's a huge document. We'll try and do a live chat on it. Actually, it's like 112 pages. But I want to go over some highlights from some articles and the thing about it, because again, it's almost like verbatim another page in her book, meaning Jodi's book. So let's go ahead and just get into it. So Michael Tillman has filed charges against Jodi, against Connections. Now, these are for fraud and racketeering, and he is making some pretty big claims in this, and he's basically claiming like, hey, even though she's behind bars, Connections is still going, it's still doing its thing, and it's still destroying lives. Now, he is also suing his ex-wife in addition to Jodi and Ruby, and I'm going to quote this right here. He is demanding an injunction barring Hildebrandt's enterprise from continuing to operate and requesting at least $2.25 million per claim for the damages caused to his family. Now, Rolling Stone states that the plaintiff Tillman alleges Hildebrandt and Franke of using Connections to deceive clients into paying excessive fees for services while alienating them from family and friends to the point of financial and emotional control. Now, I'm going to quote this part again here too, and the suit asserts that Franke, Hildebrandt, and others, known and unknown, have been engaging in a widespread racketeering enterprise in pursuit of power and profit through the advertisement, sale, and provision of fraudulent services and products designed to prey on vulnerable individuals and encourage victims to perpetuate illegal acts onto others. Do I believe this? 100%, right? One thing that I think is interesting with this is seeing more and more people still coming forward. I had no idea that this is still going on. This is what the shocker was to me, right? Now, in 2015, Tillman and his then wife, they would go to couples counseling. They would go to Jodi for this. This is something very normal that took place. She was very well known for doing this. Now, in this scenario that sounds very familiar to the readers of, first of all, Sherry Franke's book that we just finished, The House of My Mother, but if you followed this case, Jodi's same old song and dance came down. Jodi would tell the wife after a few sessions that the husband needed to be brought into truth, okay? Now, this is like an ideology that would eventually lead to the dissolution of their marriage and a custody battle for their child. This was Jodi's MO. This is what she did. She would bring the couples in. Very soon, the husband would be the enemy, the this, the that. She would get the wife convinced to get rid of him and start siphoning off his money, destroy the family. It's what she did. And now, as we've learned from Sherry's book, there was a little bit of a romantic relationship between Jodi and Ruby, and I would almost argue to say, and again, I don't know, that this is what Jodi's MO was. I think she was getting after the wives in that way, and I think she was also miserable and she loved to destroy other people's lives. Now, again, you're going to recognize this one. In the lawsuit, Tillman says that Jodi declared that he was suffering from a pornography addiction. Do the math on that. Have we not heard the same thing from multiple men from, the situations that they went through with Jodi in this? Now, he says that this never happened. This was never true. Now, it goes on to say that Hildebrandt told his wife to basically go to him and say, look, if you don't take these certain classes from Connections, I'm going to divorce you. And this led to the nasty divorce and the nasty custody battle. So you see how Jodi had a lockdown. She would get these people in here, and this is big, heavy stuff when you're dealing with like your relationship, your marriage, your life, your happiness. And she's sitting here saying, well, go tell your husband he's doing A, B, and C. You need to go tell him if he's not willing to pay classes, you're gone. Mind you, these classes are not cheap, okay? This is why Jodi had this big, nice, expensive home. Now, this is where he'll go on in the lawsuit stating that even with Jodi in prison, and I'm going to quote it, multiple clients and connections have kept her teaching going, including recruiting new members and allegedly physically abusing children. And I'll keep quoting, once Jodi and Ruby's criminal activity was exposed, thousands of individuals reported connections had destroyed their lives and their families, insofar as many even contemplating taking their own lives at the hands of the enterprise. So one of the things where I was like, this is still going on. People saw the outcome of this. This is powerful stuff. And when people are brainwashed and when people are whatever, you know, there probably was a group of people that were like, Jodi and Ruby are out of the way. I can be the leader now. Right? If you've ever gone, and somebody emailed me recently and said that the connection things are still on Spotify, go listen to them. Cringy. It's literally so hard to listen to. And even Sherry said in her book where she was like, Ruby and Jodi, this was just unchecked power, unchecked privilege, unchecked narcissism, and they were drunk with it, and it's just what they did, okay? And this is exactly what took place. Now I'm going to finish off here. Now the lawsuit does contain similar claims made by Kevin Franke. This was from his April 2024 filing. Although he told an ABC News affiliate that like him and Tillman's things don't have anything to do with each other, but at the same time he is still focused on, you know, justice for himself, his family, and doing those repairs and all that kind of stuff, as you can imagine. So that being said, y'all, we're going to see so many more of these lawsuits, okay? And this is what's tricky with this, because a lot of people, when we covered Sherry Franke's book and even the case, felt a certain way about Kevin, because it was like, look, he abandoned the family. He didn't, you know, the kids were doing all this. He never even came around for a year just because Jodi told him not to and Ruby told him not to. And you're going to see a lot of men come forward with these type similar things here of like, look, I was vulnerable. I was trying to save the family. I was trying to do this. You know, does that give you carte blanche to say, so I just let anything happen to the kids? I mean, that's for each of us to decide, right? I'll just say that there was another guy who, in the middle of one of the classes during his interview, I can't remember his name, he was like, this isn't right. Like, this is crazy. Like, y'all are crazy. I'm out, okay? So everybody has their own, you know, agency to make their own decisions, I guess is what I'm getting to. That being said, this will be very interesting to see if any of these lawsuits actually win and actually go through, because it's almost like you're saying, I wasn't accountable. It's almost like somebody suing a cult leader, you know, and saying, hey, I wasn't responsible for my actions. This person did this, this, and this to me, destroyed my family, did this and this. You see where I'm going with that? So now, obviously, when you get into some of the physical charges, what I mean by physical is like, I can prove that person A did blank to my child. Okay, you know, we get that. That's clear. But the nuance of brainwashing and manipulation and coercing you to make a poor decision for your family, I'm very curious to see the legal outcome of that. I think at the heart of this, there are tons and tons and probably thousands of families that were destroyed at the hands of Jodi and then Jodi and Ruby. I don't think those two ever need to see the light of day again. I think any money that they have needs to go to paying victims off. Obviously, Ruby with her own children and husband and ex-husband. But then with Jodi, that big house, please compensate these people whose lives she destroyed, because she went above and beyond to do this. And I do believe that she knew that she was making money off of this, but I think probably more important than the money to her was the power. I think she really got off on the power she held over these men, over these families, and ultimately over the women. I just think that she wanted these women, and she was gonna do whatever she had to do to get them, right? So anyways, that's it. Like I said, we'll go through the whole thing maybe on the podcast channel. It's too much to go through here, obviously. Would be here for a 5-hour video. You'd be passing out on me, right? I would be. If you follow me, you know my body will reject it immediately. So we'll probably do it in a couple of live chat sessions and read through it, because I'm very curious to read the particulars of it. But anyways, let me know what you think. Do you think we'll see more lawsuits here? Do you think that these lawsuits will hold water in court? I'm very curious to see your opinion. So that's it. I appreciate it if you're still watching. If you are, if you could drop some sofas off in the comment section. For myself, Rosco and Spirit, Bo and Luke, who have slept so nicely over here the whole time, and the rest of the Sofa Squads will have a place to hang out and talk about this case, all the other ones we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander on down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon.
I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Rosco on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.